Have you looked around lately and thought, where did everyone go? The friends who used to call, the family who used to visit without asking, the neighbor who once waved from across the lawn. It all seems quieter now. Not in a dramatic way, but in a way that slowly crept in. One by one, people fade, the phone grows silent, and even time itself feels a little hollow. And yet, you're still here, breathing, listening, wondering what this stage of life is really asking from you. I'm Dr. James, and I want to offer you something we don't talk about enough. The truth. Not about pills or diagnoses, but about the quiet, emotional landscapes of life after 80. Because the hardest part of aging is not always the pain. It's the empty chairs, the long pauses after dinner, the realization that the world feels like it's moved on without you. Researchers show that nearly half of seniors over 80 report feeling invisible or forgotten. Not because they're unloved, but because the rhythm of connection has changed. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to face 5 brutal realities of aging with peace, strength, and quiet dignity. Stay with me until the end, because what you'll discover may help you reclaim something deeper than independence. It may help you reclaim yourself. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you liked this video. It helps me continue sharing these healing truths about growing older with strength, peace, and positive energy. There are some truths about aging that no one prepares you for. Not because they are hidden, but because they arrive slowly, without warning. Like a fog that settles overnight, you only notice it once everything around you has grown quiet. And the first truth is not about the body, it is about the space between people. Reality number 1, your social world shrinks, and you must reach for connection. After 80, something subtle begins to happen. Not all at once, and not always with tears, but gradually, like a radio turning down its volume. The phone that once rang every evening grows still. The invitations stop arriving. Conversations that once flowed like rivers become rare, brief, or delayed. Researchers show that the average American over 85 sees only one close friend or family member per week. Not because they choose to isolate, but because life starts thinning the social web that once held them. It's not personal, it's just time. Friends move. Some pass. Others stop driving. Children get busy. Even those who love you deeply may not notice how much space their absence creates, and so you find yourself sitting with long afternoons with memories that echo louder than footsteps in the hallway. Walter, 84 years old, used to go to the same cafe every morning. The barista knew his name. His friends would arrive without texting. They just knew. But one by one, they stopped coming. Some moved to assisted living. Others passed quietly. One day, Walter said something that stayed with me. It's strange to walk into a place where everyone once knew your name, and now, you're just the man in the corner booth. But here's the quiet twist. After 80, connection no longer comes to you. You must go to it. You must reach. Not with desperation, but with courage. Whether it's joining a small group at church, making the first call, or writing a letter no one expected, this act of reaching is not weakness. It is resilience in its purest form. Because even now, even with fewer voices around you, you still have a song to sing. And someone, somewhere, is waiting to hear it. As your social world grows quieter, another shift begins to unfold. This time, not outside of you, but within your own body. And it does not ask for permission. It simply changes the terms of your strength. Slowly, silently, your body begins to speak a different language, one of limits, of fatigue, of caution. But if you listen closely, you will hear something else too. Wisdom. Reality number 2, your body no longer recovers, but you can still adapt. There was a time when you could take a nap and bounce right back. when a stumble meant a bruise, not a hospital visit. But after 80, your body no longer whispers. It speaks directly. A small ache lingers. A cough overstays its welcome. A dizzy spell at noon can turn into a doctor's visit by nightfall. Researchers show that after the age of 80, even minor injuries or illnesses, like a simple fall or short-term infection, can lead to long-term decline if recovery is not handled carefully. This is not because you are fragile, but because the body's healing rhythm has slowed, like a once fast stream now becoming a reflective, steady pond. I remember Gloria, 81 years old, bright-eyed, active, fiercely independent. She adored her backyard garden and could name every flower like an old friend. But one afternoon, while trimming a rose bush, she slipped. It wasn't the fall that changed her. It was what came after. "I thought I was just taking a break," she told me. But my body treated it like a full stop. Weeks of rest turned into months of weakness. Her legs hesitated where they once strode. Her confidence, more than her bones, was what cracked. And yet, she began again. With shorter walks, with help from a cane, with dignity, not shame. Here is the gentle truth. After 80, healing no longer means returning to normal. It means learning a new normal and honoring it. You may walk slower now, but every step is chosen with more care. You may rest longer, but you rest with intention. You're not breaking. You're adjusting. You're not losing strength. You're learning where your strength now lives. And once the body begins to shift, something deeper is stirred. Not just in your muscles or bones, but in your sense of self. Because for those who have spent a lifetime standing tall, carrying others, solving problems, there is a quiet discomfort that comes with having to reach out your hand and say, "I need help." Reality number 3, you start needing help. But asking for help is courage, not weakness. Needing help doesn't arrive like a storm. It arrives like a shadow, inch by inch. First, you stop reaching for the top shelf. Then, you grip the railing just a little tighter. Then one day, you hesitate before turning the car key during a rainy afternoon. You tell yourself it's just being careful. But your body already knows. Researchers show that nearly 70% of adults over 80 experience functional limitations in at least one area of daily living. But many choose not to report it. Why? Because they're afraid of losing their independence. But here is the paradox. Hiding what you cannot do does not preserve your independence. It quietly erodes it. I once met a man named Eugene, 85 years old, a war veteran, a father of 4, built his own shed out of spare wood and willpower. One winter, he slipped on ice in his driveway. No broken bones, just bruised pride. He didn't tell anyone. But his daughter noticed he was moving slower, quieter. She started visiting once a week with groceries just to stay for coffee. At first, he waved her off. "I'm fine," he'd say. But over time, those visits became something sacred. And one day, with a soft laugh and misty eyes, he said, "It's nice, not having to carry everything alone." Here's the healing twist. After 80, asking for help isn't a burden. It's an act of strength, a declaration that your life still matters enough to protect. That your safety is worth more than your pride, and help doesn't always come with hands. Sometimes it's a grab bar in the shower, a kitchen stool, a voice reminder taped to the fridge. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs of wisdom. Because true strength is not in pretending you can still do it all. It's in knowing what matters most and allowing others to help you keep it. But even as you accept help, even as you learn to live with a slower body, there is another kind of ache. One that does not come from the inside. It comes from the way the world looks at you. Or more painfully, the way it stops looking at you altogether. Reality number 4. Society starts to overlook you, but you can reclaim your voice. At first, it is subtle. A waiter speaking to your daughter instead of you. A cashier asking, "And how is he today?" while looking past your eyes. A doctor explaining your diagnosis to the person next to you, not to you. You are still in the room, but somehow you've become part of the wallpaper. Researchers show that over 60% of older adults over 80 feel regularly dismissed in social or medical settings, especially when interacting with younger professionals. It's rarely intentional, but the damage is real. Because no matter how old we are, we want to be acknowledged, not for what we used to be, but for who we still are. And when you have lived through wars, recessions, grief, change, and joy, to suddenly be spoken over, brushed aside, or infantilized, it stings in a place no one sees. I remember Irene, 86 years old. She had lived through the civil rights era, taught high school for 30 years, and volunteered at a small local museum. One day, a visitor asked about a painting from the 1960s, a decade Irene had lived. She stepped forward to answer, but the guest turned to a younger staffer instead. Irene just smiled. "I'm used to it," she said. But behind that smile was a quiet sadness. Here's the truth no one says. You are not furniture. You are not fading. You are not done. So speak, even when no one asks. Share your memory when someone younger forgets. Offer your thoughts, even if the room is filled with quicker voices. Every time you raise your voice, however soft, you reclaim your space. Because you are not invisible. You are a living library, a witness to time. And your story has not closed. It is still being written. And once the world stops seeing you, a strange stillness can take hold. Not just in your body, not just in your home, but in your spirit. For many, this is the hardest part of aging. Not the pain, not the loneliness, but the question that lingers in the quiet. What now? Reality number 5. If you don't redefine purpose, regret will grow in the silence. After 80, your calendar begins to clear. The meetings are gone. The children have grown. The phone is quiet. At first, it feels like rest. Then slowly, it feels like emptiness. With all that space comes memory, reflection, and sometimes regret. Researchers show that older adults who lack a clear sense of purpose are significantly more likely to suffer from depression, physical decline, and even cognitive loss, not because they've done something wrong, but because the human soul was never meant to live without meaning. Stanley, 88 years old, once told me something I will never forget. He was a retired teacher, beloved by his students, respected in his field. But after retirement, after the applause had stopped, he began to feel hollow. "No one needs me anymore," he said. But the truth was, he hadn't yet discovered how to be needed in a new way. You see, purpose does not retire. It transforms. Maybe you do not fix broken roofs anymore, but you fix broken spirits with your presence. Maybe you do not manage a team, but you manage to lift someone's grief by sitting with them. Maybe you do not chase deadlines, but you chase sunlight and laughter and the fragile beauty of a well-told story. Here is your redemption. The most important work you do after 80 may not be seen on paper. It will be felt in rooms, in hearts, in soft moments when you simply choose to show up with kindness in your eyes. Because your life still matters. Not for what you do, but for how you are. And that is enough. So, if you've ever sat in your chair and quietly wondered, where did everyone go? I hope this helped you feel less alone. Because what you're facing after 80 is not failure. It's a sacred shift. A thinning of the world that reveals what truly matters. Yes, the phone may ring less often. Yes, your body may move more slowly, your independence more fragile, your voice too easily ignored. But none of that means you are fading. In fact, it means you've arrived at the deepest part of your life, the part where every gesture becomes holy. where every story is a seed, where every day you wake up is another chance to soften, to speak, to be kind. You still get to choose. You can choose connection instead of silence. You can choose to ask for help and still hold your dignity. You can speak up even if the world doesn't ask, and you can define your purpose not by productivity, but by presence. If this spoke to you, leave a comment and write. Number 1. Subscribe for more healing truths and positive energy, because aging should never mean silence, shame, or surrender. I'm Dr. James, and I'll see you in the next video.